Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Challenge to Build. My name is Paul Michael. I got my coffee here. I am just getting home from work, and we are picking up where I left off last week with the front axle again. Things are really busy for me lately. Like I said in the last video, I've been working 7 days a week. Today is actually Friday, and I'm supposed to upload tomorrow. So we're going to see how this goes as far as timeline. There's a good chance that this is probably going to be my last video until after Thanksgiving, just due to my schedule that I have upcoming for the next week. So I want to put that out there first and foremost. Next Saturday, I will not be posting a video due to Thanksgiving. Hopefully after Thanksgiving is over, I will be able to pick up the following week, but we'll see how that goes. Since last weekend, I was able to get the front axle fully welded. Tons and tons of work. I think I have probably 2 or 3 hours of grinding, welding, and cutting in this axle over the course of, I think, 3 days. So a lot of work went into this. I actually had a little bit of a mishap. It fell off the jack stands when I was welding it, and I think I bent my passenger side shock mount. So we'll have to address that after we put it back in the truck. What's crazy is I'm still not done working on this front axle. What I want to do is, I don't know if you can see down here, but this is the sway bar mount right through here. And when I originally bought this axle, it was a solid I-beam axle. I actually cut it and put in a solid piece of 2-inch square bar and a piece of 3-inch 5/8 plate underneath of it to strengthen it back up in order for it to accommodate the drop. This is where the oil pan goes. So I feel as it's pretty strong already, but I have a tendency to overkill things, I think. But my sway bar mount kind of ties everything together here, so I'm going to do more or less the same thing on the other side, just with a piece of 3-inch wide 1/4-inch plate. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is put the camera up on a tripod and get things set up to where I'll measure and cut the pieces. Hopefully by the end of this video, with it being my last one for at least a week, we'll have the front axle sitting back in the truck. I'll readdress my shock mount, and that'll be that. So let's get to work. success. I got my pieces cut. Now it's just a matter of welding them in. Whoops. I missed. I'm leaving that in there too. I got it that time. Alright, so now that the welding's all done on the front axle, it is time to put this bad mamma jamma back in under the truck and check the fitment one last time. Once it goes back in, like I said, I'm going to have to double check my bottom shock mount on the passenger side. And then the bigger thing that I got to check is my drag link for the steering. I modified it again for the drop. I got to double check steering left to right with the drag link, and if everything checks out with the drag link, I can go ahead and fully weld up the drag link and get that done. In order to move something like this when you're working by yourself, you kind of have to think outside the box. I do a lot of work in the garage by myself, even though I do have my kids helping me. They are limited to what obviously they can do just because of how small they are, and I certainly don't want to put them in harm's way. So this bad thing weighs, I don't know, probably 150 to 200 pounds, and it's really awkward. So what I ended up doing was modifying a few scrap pieces of steel and created this jack mount, similar to like a transmission jack pad would have. This mounts to my floor jack and then sits right up under the axle like so, and then that way here I can jack it up, move it around, and get it up under the frame and keep me and anybody else out of harm's way while I do it. So that is what's going to be happening next. I'm going to mount this to my floor jack and get this front axle positioned where it belongs. So let's get it done. Well, the front axle is in. Everything looks like it fits pretty good. Just at quick glance, it looks like my drag link is going to need to be modified and dropped down about another inch or so. Overall, this truck I am doing, I don't know if I ever really touched on it. This truck I'm using a monoleaf leaf spring setup with an airbag. The leaf spring keeps the geometry for the front suspension. The spring does give it a little bit of suspension spring, but the airbag pretty much takes the weight of the truck. So the reason I did it this way was because of the engine I'm using with how low I wanted the truck. There was no really other option as far as the weight for the truck. I guess had I thought about it more, maybe I could have used like a commuter bus chassis, but rather I built my own chassis from the ground up. If I was to do it again, maybe I would do it a little differently, but for this application and for the build of the truck, so far this is working out pretty good. It is getting cold out. My feet are freezing. Did I mention I hate the cold weather? I need to work on my boat and get that sucker down to Florida. So when it's cold out, I can go cruise on my Magnum Marine and stay warm. We did get quite a bit of work done. The front axle was an extensive amount of work, a lot more than what I originally intended. Of course, just about everything that I work on is more work than I intended. The list, as far as the list is concerned, finished welding front axle. I would say that we are successful in completing that. The steering linkage I thought I had done, but we're going to have to take another look at that in a later episode. Remember, I am not posting a video the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So you'll probably see a video post from me in about 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not 100% sure, but I know for a fact there will not be a video next weekend. So don't be mad at me, please. One thing I want to touch on real quick is the whole YouTube COPPA terms of service change. I don't necessarily think that's going to have a big effect on my channel due to the fact that I do not necessarily target the kids. However, I can't control if kids watch my channel. I do want to bring your attention to it because even if it doesn't directly affect you as far as a creator, I think it will have quite an impact on the platform moving forward after January 1st. If you're unfamiliar with what's going on with YouTube and the COPPA agreement and the terms of service, I suggest you maybe do a little bit of research on your own. Don't get caught up in all the hype. There is 100 videos out there now within the last week concerning this issue. I will post 2 of them in the description that I found enlightening. Also, one of them is from Kreekcraft. Kreekcraft actually has a meeting with the FTC and I think the FCC. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. But if you want, jump over to him, show him support for the issue. Let him know that you're on his side. He's doing some big things in my opinion. I really appreciate him. So if you're listening, thanks Kreekcraft. I appreciate it. So with that, that wraps up today's episode of Challenge to Build. If you've enjoyed today's content, make sure you give me a thumbs up, like this content. If you did not, thumbs down, let me know so that way I can improve on my craft. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns down below, make sure you drop them in the comment section. I also want to say thank you to all my new subscribers. I think we had 2 or 3 of them since last week. I generally get about 2 or 3 subscribers a week, so I want to say thank you to the new subscribers. Thank you for joining the family. Enjoy your holiday weekend coming up. Thanksgiving, if you celebrate it. Enjoy all that turkey. Be safe. And with that, my name is Paul Michael. This is Challenge to Build, and I'll see you in the next video.